Hey, welcome back to Karen's Papercraft. Thank you very much for watching. Wat leuk dat je weer kijkt. Dank je wel. Perhaps you didn't know this, but apart from papercrafting, I also love to crochet, particularly those small amigurumi type things, which make cute gifts. And what's greater than combining my two loves and make cute gift packaging for my crocheted projects. Today's project, however, isn't meant to hold a gift. It's for those pesky ends of yarn, those you snip off. Put them in the box, save them up and throw them away when the box is full. Come and join me to see how you can make it. Kijk gezellig mee. Well, you know, when you're crocheting, and this is just a tryout that I've made, when you're finished weaving in your ends, you snip them off at some point, and then you have to keep them somewhere, and that is where my box comes in handy. It's in two parts. I'll show you, make sure that I don't lose my needle. There's a top and the bottom, and the thread goes into the bottom, and then I think this is a nice solution to keep the threads in until I can discard them. Very easy. The top and the bottom have to be a really tight fit because you don't want the bottom to slide out. So I experimented, and this is one that I made before at a different size, and although it's a fit, it's just too loose, you see. So I'm going to be working with 1/16 of an inch, but I'm going to make it easy on you. I've made it easy on myself as well. So look at these cute cats. The colour inspiration I got from this designer series paper. It's the Dandy Designs, and I just loved. I had this scrap and I thought, well, what colour shall I use? So I took colours which match this, which is in fact Mango Melody and Flirty Flamingo, and the bottom is Flirty Flamingo as well. Of course, I've used the Mango Melody and Flirty Flamingo ink as well. You're going to need basic white, the thick variety, and Flirty Flamingo cardstock. For the ring on top, I've used the Stylish Shapes dies. These two ones. Love cats. You're going to need some, where's mine? Here we go. You're going to need some adhesive sheets to make it easy to attach this ring. You don't have to, but I like to use that to make the ring. And I'll start by making that ring and show you how I do that. So let me get my stuff out of the way. Here you have the adhesive sheets, and this is just my scrap of designer series paper. And first of all, I'm going to remove the backing and put my designer series paper on top, and you want the side that you want to see on top as well. And if you have a bit sticking out, which I do here, it's sticky, but you can roll the adhesive off with your fingers. And then I can use this, and I'm going to cut off this as well. And I can use this to die cut the ring. I'll show you. I'm getting my mini emboss machine in as well. And here are the Stylish Shapes dies. And I've taken the second and the fourth smallest, so the second and the fourth, you see. I'm going to attach these together temporarily, so I'm putting the smaller one in the middle, and I evenly space the other one around it and secure this with some tape. And you can see that I have now die cut the ring that goes on top of the box. You see? I'm going to need that smaller one in a minute to cut the hole in the middle in the box, so I can put that one over there. Then I'll continue with the bottom. I have here a piece of Flirty Flamingo, which is 10 3/4 by 6 1/8 of an inch, 26.8 centimeters by 15.2 centimeters, and we're going to score this in 1/16 of an inch at some score lines, and it's important to understand how that works. And I'll see if I have my, yes, here it is. 1 inch has 4 bits in between, the quarter, half and 3/4. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, so it's 8 smaller sizes of the inches, and also 16ths. Now, if you use 1/8 of an inch for the bottom box, it'll be just too small and it'll fall out. So I decided to go to 16ths of an inch. But to make it easier on myself, suppose I would need 4.5, and then if you have 1 over 4.5, it will be 9/16. Well, in my case, I write down 4.5 plus, then I know 4.5, and I go over one of these stripes, so not 2, because that would be 5/8 of an inch. So if I need 4.5, I would go 4.5, and I make a note of myself 4.5 plus, meaning I go 1 over or 1 under, depends on what measurement I'm using. And I'll show you when I'm scoring. You don't need to score 16ths of an inch for every score line, but in 2 cases you do. So I'm having here my trimmer, and of course the same measurements are on your trimmer, so it's easy to find them. So if you have the 4 and 4.5, then 4 and 5/8 would be 2 little lines. If I have 4.5 plus, then I go 1 over. So in this case, I'm going to score with a long side top at 2.5 plus. That's my first score line. So I go to the 2.5 mark, and then I slide 1 over and score. My next score line is at 5 and 1/8, so that's the normal measurement. So you go to 5 and then you move 2 up, that's 5 and 1/8, and you score. The next one has to be 7 5/8 plus, so I go to 7 and 5/8, and then move 1 up, so not to the 3/4 mark, but in between. If you give it its real name, it's 11/16, but there's no way for me to count that. And then the final score line is 10 1/4, so I'm moving it over to 10 1/4, and I score. Then you move it over, and then you have your first score line with a short side top at 1/2 inch. So putting it in, holding it down and scoring. Your second score line is at 3 plus, so I move to the 3 and then go 1 little mark up and score. And the last one's at 5 and 5/8, so that's a normal measurement, normal if you like, so that's 5.5 and then 5 and 5/8, so you move 2 up to the 5/8 mark and you score. By having these 16th of an inch, the box is just a tiny bit smaller than, oh, I put my scissors over there. The box is just a tiny bit smaller than the top is going to be, and that'll make life much more easy for you. It won't fall out anymore. So I'm using my bone folder, and I'm going to fold all these score lines. So this is what you have now, and you keep that narrow part towards the left. Then this is going to be the top of the box, and this is going to be the bottom of the box. And I'm going to do some cutting first of all. I'm going to cut up those score lines, all 4 of them, to the second score line. You see, I have 4 flaps now. Now this one I cut away. These 2, I should say, I cut away entirely. Scraps. This one I can wedge, that's going to be a glue flap, and I'm going to cut away that one as well. These I'm going to wedge in a minute, but before I do so I'm going to put tear and tape on. That means that later on I don't have to put down 4 pieces of tear and tape. So here, all along this top, I put some tear and tape, Right, then again, top of the box, bottom of the box. This is going to be the fold over flap, so I'm going to move that one inside, take my trimmer out again, and I'm going to cut them down to just over ½ an inch. So here you have the ½ inch mark, so I just put my paper on my trimmer and I can see there. You can do this with your scissors if you use your trimmer. You can cut both off in one go, and then you wedge these, of course, because they're going to fold over as well. This one needs wedging as well, and this one too. That's all the cutting finished. I'm going to show you some more tear and tape, where to adhere it. So this is the outside of your box. Let me put it right. So this is the top. We've already put the tear and tape there. You're going to put some tear and tape along that edge. So this is all the inside of what's going to be the inside of the box. This is going to be the outside of the box, and you want tear and tape on these two. And a bit there. You remove the backing and you fold over those flaps along the top. You see the paper is double now, so it's just a bit sturdier, as I explained earlier. Now get rid of these bits. Helps if you wet your finger. Then you can fold over this little bit and do the same thing. You remove the backing and then you fold that one over and it will fold over straight. Give it a push, and this then is how you're going to put the bottom together, you see. Now I did want tear and tape along there and there to make sure that this ends up beautifully straight and well adhered. So that's why I put the tear and tape on these two flaps. I didn't necessarily want the bulkiness of full flaps, so this is just half of a box, you could say. Now I'm going to slide this flap in, and then I'm using my fingers to straighten it, make sure it aligns with the side of the box. Okay, then you can use your bone folder to stick it down. Now this opens up, you see. That's what the other strip of tear and tape is for, because I'm going to, I hope you can see this from the top, I'll try to show you. I'm going to pull away this flap and remove the backing, and I can better use my tweezers for that. There we go. So I've removed the backing. Now I'm pushing down this end, and then I let go of the flap and adhere it. And now your top is beautifully adhered with no funny bits sticking out. Again, I'm making sure it adheres well. And this then is the bottom of the box. Now that was the hardest part really, with the 1/16 of an inch, and you can see it wasn't that hard after all. The top of the box, and for that I'm using my Simply Scored. You could continue with your trimmer, but for a box this is very handy, I always think. Now with a long side top you're going to score at 2 5/8, at 5 1/4, 7 7/8, and 10 1/2. I just realised I need to trim this to 11 inches because A4 is longer. So 11 inches, so if you work in letter you'll be fine. If you work in A4 you need to cut it down to 11 inches. Forgot about that. I even forgot to tell you the measurements, didn't I? This is 11 inches by 5 3/4. Sorry about that. Okay, so I've just done my scoring. Then I'm going to turn it and I'm going to score this at, I'm going to have to turn it that way with the narrow part at the bottom. I'm going to score this at 1/2 inch. And the second score line is at 2 5/8. And the last score line is at 5 1/4. It's important to score with this narrow line at the bottom because the bottom part is narrower than the top part. I'll show you why. Because I wanted it to be higher than the bottom of the box. I think it looks nice and it's easier to open the box then. And before I cut, I'm going to stamp, and I'm going to stamp the cats in this narrower part towards the bottom. And I have these 2 cats, one which is hanging on a thread, on a line, and that one. And for that longer one, you need to mask a bit. So I have here some post-it notes, and I'm going to mask the one on the right. Okay, that's the stamping. Now it's easy to distinguish which is the bottom of the box as well. I'm going to put tear and tape on. You can see that I've cut away that part. I cut up those score lines as far as the second score line, and here again I'm going to shorten these 2 flaps using my trimmer. I'm putting this end on the 1/2 inch mark on the trimmer, which is there, so you just slide it over and then you can cut away both flaps in one go. A little more wedging before I forget this later on. And now I have to cut a hole in the top. Now this one you can't cut in your mini machine. This is 5 3/4, so it'll just go on your larger machine. I'll show you with the plates. See? It's under 6 inches, so it will take it, but your mini machine will be too narrow. And I can put the Designer Series paper ring on. So you can fit that over the hole, and then it's adhered in one go. I need some more strips of tear and tape. I nearly forgot my glue flap there. And you can see that although the model looks different, I've put tear and tape in the same position. So on the outside, these 3 flaps, and on the inside there, and those 4. And again, I'm starting by folding these over. So you could see me repeat what I did for the bottom piece. Now I push down and then it'll fall together almost naturally. And where's the bottom? Let's hope it's a good fit. Yes, perfect, you see? If you're a crocheter like me, this box is a stylish solution to keep handy when you're working. And if you're not a crocheter, how about making a box for someone who is? I'm sure they will love it. Well, that's it for today. Thank you very much for watching. Dank je wel voor het kijken. I'll see you next time. Bye bye. Tot ziens.